Two unusual Cartier Pasha sporty dive-ish watches from SwissWatchExpo this morning. The House of Cartier has such a long and rich history of fantastic designs that a lot of times what they do to come out with a new product is to sort of mine the depths of the creations of legendary watchmaker Louis Cartier. And that's exactly what they did in 1985. You had the quartz crisis was over. There was obviously a space in the market for some sort of sporty yet elegant watch on the market. You had seen success already from the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak and the Patek Philippe Nautilus. So Cartier needed something to keep up with sort of that trend. And so they went to the same designer, Gerald Genta, and in 1985, they had gone back to the archives to find a watch that had been designed for the Pasha of Marrakesh in 1931, so the story goes. That he wanted a watch that he could relax in his pools with and not have to worry about the watch or losing track of time. So Cartier made their first, quote, waterproof watch for him. They've sort of backtracked on that story a little bit because they've had a hard time finding any example of the actual watch. So now they sort of say that this watch, the Pasha, carries the name of the Pasha of Marrakesh and his fabulously elegant yet sporting lifestyle of adventure. So anyway, regardless, in 1985, Gerald Genta came up with one that looked actually a lot like this one on the white strap. It was always a precious metal watch. It was a 38 millimeter, beautiful piece. And along came the 20th anniversary of that watch in 2005, and Cartier thought they would refreshed the line. They had made it in a few different sizes, 35 millimeter, 38 millimeter mostly. And they came out with the Pasha 42, they called it. And the Pasha 42, what they did was they eliminated the rotating bezel with the numbers on it. So it made it look a little more elegant, a little bit dressier, more like the 1985 Gerald Genta version. But they increased the size. It went from 38 millimeter to 42 in keeping with the trend of much larger watches. And this really made a big splash in 2005 when they came out with it. The movement in it was made by their stablemate over at Jaeger-LeCoultre, exclusively for the Pasha. But what we have here, it's an interesting example. It kept all of the design elements. You have the unscrewed crown cover. The actual crown is underneath, and the crown cover has a hinge, so it's one of the major design elements of the Pasha. You see it as a natural sapphire on the crown cover. And you have these Vendome lugs. It's a really unique strap, the way it attaches. And as far as the dial goes, it always had this minute track that was square in the middle of a big round case. So it kept those design elements, the Art Deco sort of swirly Arabic number there of the 12, and just a real clean, classic look. Most of the Pasha chronographs, the pushers also have the blue gemstones, whether they're spinel on the steel and gold models or sapphire on the gold models. This one, they sort of did away with that, again, trying to sort of streamline the model a little bit. And I remember at the time, the first one I ever saw was the North American president of Cartier wearing it to a party that we all attended when I worked for the company. And it just looked so good on him. I mean, he really carried it well. He was a very good-looking, debonair French fellow that had risen to the ranks of Cartier North America. And I was just really, really impressed with the way it looked to have this large-scale watch that was very sporty, clearly, yet it had this dressy element to it. This one has the exhibition case back so that you can see that beautiful movement. It has the Cote de Genève and the Cartier Double C logo in reverse on the rotor. It is water resistant to 100 meters, so it's not really a dive watch, but considering that it was made to be a watch that in your elegant, adventurous lifestyle you could still swim in, it certainly does the job for that. The strap on this one is white. I sort of view that as a placeholder so that you can get any strap you want on this watch. This watch originally was almost $40,000. It's about $25,000 off here at SwissWatchExpo. And there's certainly a little bit of maybe $400 or $500 in there to get whatever kind of strap you want. So don't be put off by the white strap, although it does look really good on it. And of course, it's the Cartier deployant buckle holding it all together. So I think this one is one of the best values probably we've ever had at SwissWatchExpo, considering the huge percentage off that it is compared to its original retail price. The next year, in 2006, Cartier wanted to sort of up it again, and they came out with the Pasha Seatimer. So the Seatimer, you would think from the name that it's a real dive watch. Again, it's only water resistant to 100 meters, so probably not a real diver, but great for a desk diver or with a suit. Again, the elegant lifestyle watch. There's a lot of other watches out there that are in the space where they have the aesthetic of sort of a dive watch, but not really a full-on dive watch. I'm thinking about like the Rolex Yachtmaster, the IWC Aquatimer. These are watches that are not water resistant to something crazy like 4,000 meters, but they do the job and they have some of the aesthetics of a dive watch. So with the Seatimer, it's a thicker case. It's 0.5 millimeter bigger. It's 42.5 millimeters. And it has this black edge to the rotating bezel, which it does have the numbers. Makes it a lot easier to turn. This is one of the easiest turning bezels I've ever operated, so it's really a sort of a tactile pleasure. This one does have the 3 cabochons on the pushers, but these are black, so that's really unusual for the Pasha. It was only on the Pasha Seatimer, which was only made for a few years. And one of the things that they kept was that swirly Art Deco 12. They kept the oval subdials for the chronograph, the 369, in the same kind of Arabic Art Deco style. This one has a closed back, and it is a little thicker. It makes it a more substantial, sporty watch. The movement that's in it is the same Frederick Piguet movement that's been in the 38 millimeter Pasha since 1999. But it's a really, really well-made movement that is nothing to look down on because it's not an in-house Cartier movement. The bracelet has a double trigger to open the double deployant buckle, and it's a really heavy watch. It is a lot of gold weight in this watch. But of course, you'll see that the main design element here in the Pasha Seatimer was that the bracelets were all coated in rubber. So even if you got the all steel model with the steel bracelet, it was a rubber coated steel, and you could always see the steel links from the sides, but this one in 18 karat rose gold, they only did the middle in the coated rubber. But it's a really interesting, unusual look. It shows how one of the areas where Cartier really flexed their creative design muscle was in the Pasha series. They did flying tourbillons, they did minute repeaters, they did perpetual calendars, moon phases. They even did a Pasha golf watch where you could keep score on the watch by pressing one of 4 buttons for your foursome to keep track of the strokes for your entire foursome. So kind of crazy things they did in the Pasha, but these are 2 that are really unusual. These are not the sort of regular vanilla Pashas. Cartier currently is making the Pasha in 30, 35, and 41 millimeter. These are both larger than that. A lot of times, because they've made so many different Pashas over the years, you might find that the best one for you is one that they don't make anymore. And that's what you'll be able to find here at SwissWatchExpo. Just go to SwissWatchExpo.com, type in the word Pasha on our search bar. You'll see everything we've currently got in stock, but give us a call. We're happy to talk about them. And we can really go over them and offer even a live video call by FaceTime or Zoom to show you our store and our service center and these watches.